the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Final thing on the Wizards. This is always something I wonder about because you're more plugged in, and when you're on the outside and you just trying to, when people want to blow it up with organizations and look like the Falcons, it's just rough all around for Atlanta sports fans right now, Joe. But like, I am curious when you dig a little bit deeper and someone more in the know of what this Wizard ownership group is and everything else that goes into the Washington Wizards. Do you think this is the right ownership, GM, coach combination to lead you through this rebuild? Because it's fun to say like, hey, we'll blow it up and we'll start from scratch. We'll draft this guy and then we'll be there and competing again in 2 to 3 years, this, that, and the other. I'm sure the Pistons thought they were going to do that. Charlotte thought they were going to do that. Orlando thought they'd be here a lot longer than how long it actually ended up taking them. And do you think the move potentially down the road will be something that ends up being a positive for the organization, that maybe they change their name, maybe it brings new life into the fan base, maybe it does kind of change where the Wizards are headed or currently sitting right now? You're more plugged in, so I was curious from your perspective here, Joe.
So I do have high hopes for the GM, president, decision maker nucleus that has been brought in here. Michael Winger and Will Dawkins, those are legit guys with real creds when it comes to team building, when it comes to successful drafting, where those guys come from in terms of Oklahoma City and other places where there was genuine rebuild that they contributed to the success of. Those guys are legit. I trust them. It's the first time in literally 20 years. We went from Ernie Grunfeld to Tommy Shepard, who was a Grunfeld apprentice. 19 years of the same kind of mentality, the same kind of overpay a non-superstar, relentless missing out at the draft, like draft after draft, getting the wrong guy, missing Tyrese Halliburton because we wanted Denny Avdia because he played great, in the Euro League. Like I can do 10 of those. I can do 12 of those. I can do 15 of those kinds of misses. This GM decision-making nucleus, I think by virtue of what they accomplished in the past, I have high hopes for them. The current coach, Wes Unseld Jr., is universally regarded as a wonderful guy, very sweet guy. He is an assistant, and it's totally fine for him to be the steward and the shepherd of this team in transition. And for them, he'll always have on his resume, he'll have all these losses. So he'll have a horrendous win-loss record as a head coach, but he will have on his resume that he was the head coach of the team that his father helped put on the map, and that there's a banner in the rafter, a championship banner in the rafter. That's part of his lineage. That's a cool story. I like Wes Unseld Jr. like in that personal kind of sense. He's nothing as an NBA head coach, and we'll never know as long as he's here in Washington. He will not be the head coach for the team as they sort of come into whatever identity they're going to be. The owner is really the culprit here, though. And what's going on here in Washington during the entirety of his tenure is he got the Caps first when he bought both the Wizards and the Capitals and the stadium all at once from Abe Poland. But his ownership for the Wizards was told by some number of years, was put off into the future. He hit the absolute home run lottery in hockey by having the team be bad for a couple of years, and then he got Alexander Ovechkin. And since Alexander Ovechkin arrived in Washington, they have been printing money here. The interest, we have a Stanley Cup in the last 6 years, 2018, and the folks come from the suburbs, Northern Virginia and Maryland, downtown to DC to see Alexander Ovechkin. Those are 41 sellouts or near sellouts every year since Ovechkin was drafted.
Wow.
The team's been in the top 10 in attendance. It's just a tremendous support. By contradistinction, the Wizards have been a second-class citizen. They have not received the same kind of commitment. And part of that, you can tell because he was content with Ernie Grunfeld running the show, even though it took really a groundswell. It went beyond clamoring. I mean, the fan base was openly showing up to games with signs about getting rid of Grunfeld. That's what it took, it seems, to catch the owner's attention. And so all the resources, all of it. See, this is the observation here in town is that the Caps are the preferred child, and the Wizards are the second class citizens. And it's certainly true in terms of this rumored move to Northern Virginia. That serves the Caps for sure. It does not serve the Wizards one in any way, shape, or form.
That's so it seems like you're kind of like, that's why I'm just so worried. Like when people are talking about like blowing it up and stuff with the Wizards, I'm just like, well, if there's an ownership problem and you're seen as the second class entity from this ownership group, is it a good idea to buy all the way in on what they can build and just what they can ultimately be in this group? Or, I mean, I don't know. Like that's kind of a scary spot to be in as a fan, right?
You have to trust, as long as Winger and Dawkins are here, then I will trust that those guys have the discretion to go and try and build a winner, that it's been conferred upon them in the same way that Leontis was basically like Ernie Grunfeld and Tommy Shepard. I'm fine if you run this team into the ground.
Yeah.
Now he's got two young, competent guys, genuinely capable of team building. If he just leaves them alone and lets them do their thing, then I have some hope. And if it's both,
don't you have Travis Schlenk too? By the way, am I crazy?
Yeah, Travis Schlenk, yes, who I hold in high regard. I think that what he did in terms of that relationship between Nate and, I mean, he helped Trae Young really salvage his career because he brought in Nate Robinson. Like Travis Schlenk, that team building that he did with that Hawks team early in Trae Young's career, I thought was pretty commendable.
Yeah, no, good eye for talent, good roster builder, but yeah, oh man, that's a whole other podcast, Joe. I'm curious from your perspective on this one, more likely to be in the finals, health permitting right now, because I've been going back and forth on this the last couple of weeks, and I've watched a lot of Clippers lately. More likely to be in the finals, health permitting, the Lakers or the Clippers? Who you got?
It's got to be the Lakers, because health permitting is the crucial.
Well, let's just operate under they're both healthy going into the playoffs. Let's say that. They're both.
Go. Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.